and family. The number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. If you also want to reach us via WhatsApp, you can do that. And that is 724-0008. You can message in, you can call in as well on WhatsApp. Again, that number 724-0008. In just a bit, we're going to be speaking about the St. Lucia Sports Academy and their successes thus far, and of course, encouraging individuals who have aspiring sports athletes and personalities out there who want to ensure that they get a good footing for their children. It's a great opportunity, and we're going to be speaking about the St. Lucia Sports Academy in just a bit with some students there, as well as the public relations officer at the academy. But first, we want to send out some birthday greetings to Mr. Yuri Haynes today. Happy birthday to you, Yuri. Hope you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Also sending best wishes and birthday greetings to Miss Sherry-Ann Kajada. Happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And also to Mr. Hilary Morissette. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're enjoying your very special day. I'll look back in time, a bit of history on this day. Back in the year 1536, Anne Boleyn, the second wife of English King Henry VIII, was beheaded at the Tower of London on charges of adultery, incest, and treason. In the year 1885, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck took possession of Cameroon and Togoland as part of the Great Rush for Africa. In the year 1898, the U.S. Congress passed the Private Mailing Card Act, allowing private publishers and printers to produce postcards, which had to be labeled private mailing cards until 1901, and they're now known as souvenir cards. And in the year 1919, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk landed at Samsun on the Black Sea coast, beginning the Turkish War of Independence. We now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought with the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. If all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Pots, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here today at the Lunchroom. And of course, we do hope that everybody's having a very blessed Monday back at work. And of course, just last week, we saw a number of students in grade 6 heading to the CPEA, the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, doing their examinations, formally the Common Entrance Examinations, new form and new format, of course, in place. Generally looking at the assessment of students in sciences, well, in subjects such as mathematics and English, as well as general sciences, general paper, and the like. Of course, the matter of sport is one which a lot of students have great interest in. And of course, from a very early age, from primary school. And there is now a St. Lucia Sports Academy. It's been in place for a good number of years now. And that is certainly an avenue available to many students who are in fact shifting into secondary school here in St. Lucia. And to tell us a lot about the Sports Academy and what they've been up to and the successes, the challenges, the hopes for the future as well. I'm so very pleased to have 3 representatives of the St. Lucia Sports Academy. 2 of them are in fact students in the institution, as well as the public relations officer, member of staff at the St. Lucia Sports Academy, Miss Bernice Lewis. She is the public relations officer for the event here today. As well, we have two members of the national under-19 cricketers, as well as being part of the student body at the St. Lucia Sports Academy, Mr. Nathaniel Joseph and Mr. Zinaki Louis, and they both form 4 students at the SLSA. Welcome to the program. Thank you so very, very much for being our guest here today at the lunchroom. Ms. Lewis, thank you for coming in, and of course for bringing these two gentlemen along with us. The St. Lucia Sports Academy. Tell us a little bit about how it all started and how things are being are running now at the St. Lucia Sports Academy.
Thank you for having us. We're quite excited to be here. So the St. Lucia Sports Academy has definitely been making waves for the last 5 years that we've been in business. We have had one student who's taken gold at the Carifta Games in 2024, and she came back this year, 2025, to take a silver medal in the pole vault.
Pole vault, okay.
And so that's Naya Jules. She's on full scholarship to in New York, well, in the States. And we have other students, other athletes who are on partial scholarships. We have 2 footballers who are on partial scholarships.
So you're talking about graduates who've gone through the school already?
Yes,
and
in 2024. And we have other students who are also being considered for partial scholarships from last year's graduation. So that would have been our first full graduation for the 5 years that we have been in existence.
Wonderful. Now, tell us about how a student would enter the St. Lucia Sports Academy, because clearly you're a little bit of a different institution.
Yes.
You're not an ordinary secondary school, and you would find that many parents would be interested in perhaps finding an institution that may be on the basis of proximity to where they live, or perhaps on the basis of some sort of the academic performance and history of the school, or maybe the parent went to that school and so they want to send their children to that school. St. Lucia Sports Academy obviously is a new creature and is really trying to find its own niche at this point. So tell us, how would a student get into the sports academy?
So typically what we do is that our coaches recruit directly from the schools. We get word of, the really good talent from the primary schools. That is ideally how we recruit our students. These 2 students were recruited that way as well. So we really want to get the word out there that even though the St. Lucia Sports Academy is not a list on the schools for CPA, it is a possibility for a child who is, number one, academic, because you need to have at least a 73% pass rate at CPA to attend the school. So it's not just, okay, I can kick a ball, I know how to play cricket, and I'm going. You still have to be a well-rounded, disciplined individual. So you need to be able to, because there are traditional subjects being done at the school. There's math, English, French, Spanish, food and nutrition, biology, chemistry, all the subjects. So students can choose from the sciences to the languages, whatever they feel that they're more, comfortable with. And so they need to we run this academic program during the day. So from 8:30 to 2:45, students are engaged in academics, and we sit CXC. So a lot of people, have these questions. Do they do CXC subjects? Do the students do? Is it just all sports? We would like to run around all day playing sports, but that's not what we do at the academy. Students they train after school from about 3 until 5:30. There's also morning conditioning from 5:30, 5:45, almost every morning. So we run
5:30 to 5:45.
Yes, quarter to 7.
7.
We run a rigorous program. There's a gym where the students work out and they train and condition themselves. They're always doing 5Ks, in the morning.
Wow.
Yes. You can see all our footage on our Instagram or our Facebook page, St. Lucia Sports Academy. We only have 105 students, and at Island Champs, we almost, I would say, dominated the competition because we took home the gold for the 4x4. But sadly, we were outnumbered by schools where there are about 600 athletes. But we held our own at Island Champs, and we even had a student who's 14 who went over to Carifta to represent us in the 4x4 relay.
Wonderful, wonderful. And maybe I should get to your students in a little bit. You guys, of course, Nathaniel, you're a Form 4 student at the St. Lucia Sports Academy. How long have you been in the school? You started off from Form 1.
Yes, sir.
Now, what has your experience been like at the St. Lucia Sports Academy?
So it's been a good experience. I've learned a lot. Of course, there are challenges managing the sports in the school, but I took some time off for my schoolwork and time off for the cricket.
So you were already interested in cricket. That was your passion from primary school, I take it.
No, sir. I was interested in track first. And then when I entered Form 1, I put all my focus on the cricket.
Okay, so you actually made a transition away from your first interest in track. Very, very interesting. Maybe you'll have to tell us a little bit about that. Now, according to what Miss Lewis is saying, you have to wake up pretty early every day.
Yes, sir.
How is that? How is that experience of having to wake up so early, have a full do that morning training, then have a full day of school, and still have in the evening another set of programming for sports?
It was tiring at first, but then over the years I get used to it, and then it's a little easier now.
Has that been your same experience, Zanaki?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now tell us, going to this school, were you also interested as well in where you are now? You're also an under-19 cricketer. Were you always interested in cricket, or how did you?
Yes, I was always interested in cricket from a young athlete growing up. From my family, everybody was interested in cricket, so I grew up playing cricket. Yeah.
Now, I imagine that one of the strengths of the St. Lucia Sports Academy, of course, is that you have specialized coaches for various areas. And of course, in the area of cricket, tell us a little bit about the program that you're part of.
Well, the program that I'm part of, we train for cricket. We train on Wednesdays early in the morning. We run a 5K. After running 5K, we do fitness, we agility tests from Coach Gary Maffrey. And after school, we do gym, a little fitness, and we go out and train on our physical skills.
So it's not really just about the actual cricketing skills per se, but the overall physical fitness is being developed.
Yes, sir.
And of course, you mentioned your coach, Gary Maffrey, who's also a former national player.
And a West Indies player.
West Indies player as well. So you're in some pretty good hands there. The competition that how many people are part of the cricket team or the cricket program at the academy?
Actually, we got 15 players. Yeah, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Now, maybe you might want to tell us about the other programs, Miss Lewis, because I imagine you also have a lot of other areas of focus as well. As, for instance, Nathaniel mentioned, he was interested in athletics coming in, but he segued into cricket. Tell us a little bit about maybe the athletics program as well.
Yes. So we also have a football program, and the boys just captured. Well, actually, they came second. Yeah. Well, the second time in a row, winning the St. Lucia inter-school football competition.
Wonderful.
So they took that hands down. It was a very tough competition, especially against SLSC, the St. Safa Luce Community College. And then we have the track, the athletics. These two groups are quite bigger than the cricket cohort, but track is just as rigorous. They get up in the morning. In fact, all the teams, they get up in the morning and do their morning conditioning. And then they have their regular training schedule where they're doing the gym, they're doing the circuit, they're doing the 5K runs and everything like that. And of course, the food and nutrition is part of the program. The athletes are fed at the school. And we do have a dormitory. So a lot of our students come from the South area, actually. So, commuting every day would not work out. So the school caters to students who need to sleep over and,
So they would be doing full through just the week,
yes,
or
Monday,
they can
Monday
go home
to
on
Friday,
weekends?
They go home on the weekend.
Now, and in terms of how many students you actually have staying
100. Well,
within the dormitories?
probably about
75.
yeah
About 75
not,
students
yeah
who
not
actually
all of
staying
our
on
students.
campus,
Yes
and so we'd be part of the program, and then of course others would come in.
yes because we
Another
do have
100 and
students from the north and
right.
other parts, yeah, who
Okay.
can commute. Mm.
And tell us a little bit about that. Of course, living away from home. Nathaniel, are you in the dorms, or are you
I mean, I don't
you okay? Tell us a little bit about that experience. Having to deal with other people within your own age group, missing home. How has that been for you?
say for one, it was hard. In for one, it was hard going away from my mother because every day I'll leave her. It will be a change. But then throughout the years, I meet my friends, and it was easier to stay among other people, and I just adapt to it.
And the same for you, Zanaki.
Yes, sir.
Where are you guys coming from? What part of Saint Lucia?
I'm from the constituency of Soufrière Fontaine-Jacques.
Fort Saint Jacques. Okay, and wonderful.
From Babono.
And Babino. So you're not too far away then, but you still chose to actually be
Yeah.
there, of course. Especially, I guess, waking up so early as well. It would be a challenge to fit in the
Yes.
program overall.
And there are academic programs being offered in the evening for the students. So some days we have special programs like math,
Okay.
yes, and soft skills training sometimes. It depends on. So it's a very compact program we're offering at the school. And I think only the best students, only the most disciplined students can actually, come in and get the best out of it and succeed and come out with at least a scholarship and, look towards being part of the Olympics, because that is what many of our athletes are working towards, at least those in the athletics. And our boys here are trying to make it to the West Indies, senior team.
Mhm.
So that's where it starts,
Any favorite players that you want to emulate?
Mitchell Stark.
And anybody else? Or you? What about you, Zanaki?
The great Babas.
Okay, so interesting choice there, indeed. And of course, you say you have three major programs: cricket, football, and athletic and track. And in terms of other sports, at the moment, do the students also get a general exposure?
Yes, they
to
do.
a variety
They
of
do.
sports in the
They
program?
do. Everybody does PE. So in PE, students are exposed to basketball, volleyball. I mean, I'm into volleyball, so sometimes I show them a thing or two to serve and everything. So while they're, semi-expert in cricket, I'm still showing them a thing or two in volleyball. And they take quite nicely to those new sports. And who knows, you can switch. Who knows where your talent is? So we expose them to everything. And
Right.
we do have a table tennis champ who just transferred to our school in Form 2.
Okay.
She's been winning everything in the regional games.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, and in terms of the facilities, tell us a little bit about that. And
Oh,
what's
well-
available in terms of the sporting facilities?
I would
That-
say our sporting facilities are quite up there. It's not that we don't need some work. We don't need some help from, sponsors out there, because our auditorium is in dire need of repair. It's been around for a while. And so we'll just put a pin in there that we do need some funding, maybe $500,000.
Now, I remember at one point there was actually a volleyball
Yes,
setup
yes,
within the auditorium.
yes. That is still there.
Okay.
It's still there. We still have the mats for volleyball
Mhm.
to soften the fall. But we're in need of doors, windows, lights, lots of things in the auditorium.
Right.
But otherwise, we have a fully equipped gym. We've just got some equipment for the gym.
Mhm.
We have a physio room. We have a computer lab that just got donated 25 new laptops.
Okay.
Because
Wonderful.
our students are very techy, and
Mhm.
this generation, they can't do without their phones. They can't do without the tech. So
And they need to learn through as well in terms of
yes.
actually
Yes.
watching and seeing techniques and all of that.
Mhm.
So
And
certainly-
of course, some of them may go beyond just athletics or sports to work in traditional jobs.
right.
It doesn't mean that because you're an athlete, you can't be equipped in other skills. So we need to teach them a range of other skills as well.
How is the Sports Academy connecting? I mean, you mentioned very early on about the scholarship opportunities for your students. How are you actually doing those types of connections with higher level, tertiary institutions?
Well, we have a teacher who is specifically responsible for making those connections with the schools abroad. She's been doing that for a while. I think she herself, as a younger athlete, was a recipient of a scholarship to Cuba. So she knows the value of, sports and where it can, you can save thousands of dollars in university fees. So she's the liaison for getting those scholarships for our students.
Okay, wonderful. Now, of course, in the area of cricket, what, Nathaniel, maybe you could tell us, what is your area of specialization? Where you're bowling, batting, you're an all-rounder?
So I'm a bowling all-rounder. I'm bowling right-arm pace and batting left-handed.
Okay, wonderful. And any of your successes thus far you'd like to point out?
So recently,
Any 5-wicket hauls? Any,
yes, I have 3 5-wicket hauls in my career. Recently, I scored a half century in the semi-finals in the schools under 19 cricket tournament.
Wonderful, good stuff. And Zinaki, how about you?
I'm a left-hand opening batsman and a right-hand off-spinner.
Okay, so some off spin coming up there. That's pretty good stuff. And any successes you'd like to talk about?
Well, I made my team win in the last game against South Ashes versus Central, and I made my team go through the finals.
Awesome. Great stuff indeed. Thank you so very much, Zinaki. And Ms. Lewis, before we actually close, of course, how does one, as a parent who might be listening, who might want to find out more about the Sports Academy, they're seeing their student, their son, their daughter having a lot of potential, and they want to get involved. How do they do that?
Right. So our direct number to call is 724-6963. 724-6963. And otherwise, we are on Instagram and Facebook at the St. Lucia Sports Academy. The bio page, the link for the document to sign up,
Right.
the registration
yes.
is right there in our bio. The link to that is in our bio. We don't have a fully equipped website yet, but that's coming soon. But you could just reach out to the front desk, the administrative personnel there, and they will give the parents more information.
Fantastic indeed. Now, in terms of the school moving forward, how unique is this sports academy in the Caribbean?
Very unique.
Are you potentially going to get students coming in from outside, you think?
I think that's the aim. Like one of our coaches was saying, we have a coach from Cuba, our track coach. Every parish in Cuba has a sports school. So we are kind of behind in the whole idea of, a sporting school. I think that's where we need to go. We need to have quite a few different schools catering to different talents for our youth, because there are a lot of children who are just, bogged down by the traditional way of teaching those subjects that, when will I use Pythagoras theorem? They just think it's not practical. What am I learning these things for? I want to be able to put what I am learning into good use and, see the value in it. And a lot of our students are not seeing the value in what they're being taught. So we really need to, open our eyes and our ears to actually give them what they want.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of math in sports as well. Hopefully that will come in and be integrated indeed. And as well, of course, before we close off, the whole focus on the St. Lucia Sports Academy, how many staff do you have? You mentioned, of course, that you have a lot of coaches. But what's the staff complement like?
I believe there would be something about 30 teachers and coaches on staff.
And then, of course, you also have stewards, I assume, people who are staying on campus.
And we have adjunct staff who come in to help with the academic programs in the evening, and adjunct staff, sports coaches as well. So we have 3 full-time sports coaches, but we also have secondary coaches who come in to help on the afternoon.
And I suppose it's a pretty good benefit in terms of your location, proximity to the Darren Symes Cricket Ground and the indoor sports facility, and then I think
and even
upcoming
the Grocery
soon.
football field.
All right, the Grocery football field is like a 5-minute walk away or so, and as well any swimming program as yet?
Not yet.
Okay. But I suppose that would be the hope as well, to have some
Yes.
exposure in that.
That
regard.
was supposed to have been started this year, but we had some minor hiccups. So and tennis as well.
And
so
tennis.
they're supposed to be going to the tennis facility. So
Wonderful. Well, the St. Lucia Sports Academy, it is certainly a very good option available for students, and you accept individuals not just in Form 1, but
yes, we do. We accept transfers as well.
Transfers
Yes.
from existing schools.
But this year we were looking for a good number to come into our Form 1 group this year. So, hopefully parents can, from this interview, they can inquire and
Once your child has 73%,
Yes.
you could consider making that
yes.
switch. I know we didn't quite talk about finances. Is that something that is there?
It's like
cost
any
in-
normal school, any normal secondary school, facilities fees. And
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much it.
But that's it. So
That's
it's
it.
like it is a public secondary
That's
institution
correct.
still.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay,
That's
wonderful.
correct.
Wonderful news. And so very good to hear about the program going on there. 109 students, of course, many more hopefully to get scholarships in the years to come. And of course, we want to thank especially the two students who joined us, Mr. Zinaki Louis and Mr. Nathaniel Joseph, both Form 4 students and members of the National Under-19 cricket team. And of course, the public relations officer of the St. Lucia Sports Academy, Miss Bernice Lewis. Any parting words for the public of St. Lucia?
Yes. So I believe the school is doing phenomenally well. I mean, just look at Island Champs and I think we came, let me tell you exactly, second in the girls and fourth in the boys overall with 105 students. So with a little more resources, financial, we have some great programs that are currently going on, like mindset development. As athletes, our students need to be able to, channel, the right thoughts psychologically and be prepared for, when you lose a game, it takes a lot on you, So it's quite a rigorous program, and you have to be there mentally for the academics and the sporting discipline. So I think we are well poised to give birth to our next Olympian. So we're really looking forward to that.
Well, it's a very exciting time, of course, into St. Lucia and all that we're seeing going on in the field of athletics, in cricket, in football, and other sporting areas. So certainly, we do hope that we can see the St. Lucia Sports Academy leading in that way. Thank you so very much for coming in here on the Lunchroom. And that has been our Dish of the Day.
This has been the Daily Dish.
One test for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need test for your balcony. Come down to Test Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Test Plus. Because if unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tests. Come down to Test Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Boss, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tests on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bossy Brazil, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Island style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style.
We have tiles and king sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. Quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library, Viewport Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And also, of course, the 1.1 is now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east and east-southeast near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. The weather partly cloudy to cloudy at times with scattered showers, some of which may be heavy, and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. There is an advisory here which reads residents and motorists in areas prone to flooding and landslides are advised to be vigilant and exercise caution. Also, small craft operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to above normal seas. The forecast for the Los Angeles, partly cloudy to cloudy at times with widely scattered showers, which may be locally heavy, and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. And the weather summary: low level moisture and instability enhanced by an upper level trough system will continue to cause cloudiness, scattered showers, and possibly isolated thunderstorms over the Los Angeles during the next 24 hours. A tropical wave located over the far eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour. And this was your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island Style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island Style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We have chance and insects, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus and Rodney Bay on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today. It is 452-3046. 452-3046. You can also call into our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, of course, there's been as always, a lot of different interests in terms of the politics of St. Lucia. And quite recently, there seems to be, at least on the matter of Facebook posts in that space, quite a lot about the Hewanora International Airport. Now, the airport, of course, has been around for a good number of years, since the 1970s, and it's as an international airport. Prior to that, it was formerly a U.S. U.S. Air Base, Beanfield, which was built back in the 1940s. And I was upgraded back in the 1970s, and a new terminal was built, as well as what really defined this new airport was the extension of the runway, extending it from 5,000 feet to 9,000 feet to ensure that it had sufficient length to be able to accommodate what were effectively the largest planes at the time, the 747s. And of course, allowing it then to do long-haul trips, connections to North America, Europe, and beyond. It was upgraded in 1993. The terminal building was expanded, and then as well, some additional parking apron was constructed to the east of the existing terminal. And since then, of course, since that time, we've seen a significant shift in the airlift. You could say the profile of the airlift into the country. We have been running two airports for a pretty long while here in St. Lucia. The George Charles Airport, formerly VG Airport, was in fact the first commercial, private, public airport in St. Lucia. And it too was extended over the years, involving reclamation, involving cutting of hills, to be able to create a longer runway. I think roughly about 6,300 feet of runway, much shorter than the Hewanor International Airport, and still, of course, largely used to handle regional aircraft. Although there had been in the past as well attempts to also have flights using BWIAs, some of their planes coming in and landing at that airport. But of course, a very tight fit. And for quite some time, it has been seen to be a lower category of airport in terms of the type of aircraft it can in fact handle. And even now, I think perhaps it is in fact handling aircraft that are perhaps even gauged not to be able to, should not really be landing at George Charles. And so the importance of Hewanor International Airport has grown over the years. And of course, one of the major reasons for that is that we've also been seeing a significant rise in visitors coming extra regionally, coming from further afield, and in particular out of the United States of America. That being said, even within the region, you have seen some runways, airports, which are similar in characteristics with the George Charles Airport, actually currently being utilized to handle flights out of the eastern seaboard. And in particular, I'm speaking of the former Melville Hall Airport, or now the is it the Douglas Charles Airport, which is about the same length of runway in the northeast side of Dominica. And the efforts there of late have been effectively to seek out a certain type of aircraft that airlines are actually now utilizing, the C-100s and C-300s, that in fact are designed to be able to do these shorter runways. And so those flights can accommodate over 100 passengers, but can still also make that distance between Miami and Dominica, as well as Atlanta, and potentially even, I believe, New York. So it is certainly an interesting state of play in that they are actually able to do that with respect to the existing runway in that location, even though they in fact are constructing a new international airport just north of that existing airport in the area of Wesley in Dominica. And that, of course, would be able to accommodate planes similar to what, in fact, we are able to do here in St. Lucia. It certainly does show the importance, however, in terms of airports, that the runway is sometimes a forgotten element, but the most significant element in any airport services. You certainly do have to have your airside services in place. And it's not often seen as the glamorous aspect. We often think, and we've been hearing so much conversation over the past years about the HIA redevelopment. And a lot of it has been about the terminal building, because that's the glamorous, glitzy, aspect of the facility in many instances. But the reality is that to ensure that you have a good functioning airport, you've got to ensure that you're doing the basics right, and you've got to ensure that the basics are in place with respect to such a facility. And there has been certainly a lot of work that is needed in respect of the runway at Hiwanora International Airport. In the first instance, runway requirements now mean that you actually have to have hard shoulders. So the runway as we have it right now is only about, I think, about 150 feet wide. And in fact, you require a wider space. Effectively, the width of the runway needs to be augmented. So on either side of the runway, you now effectively need shoulders, roughly in the order of 7.5 meters, I believe, on either end, which would eventually take you up to about 25 feet. It's a little bit more than that, actually. So I think it's about 12.5 meters. So it's roughly about 50 feet on either side, I believe. So that effectively you need a wider runway. You also have a situation where you have limitations on the eastern side of the runway due to the proximity of the end of the runway and the fence. And effectively, the fence is considered an obstacle in under ICAO standards. Now we have a call coming in. I think we'll just try to take that call before we get any deeper into the conversation. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. And what's on your plate today?
Yes, good afternoon. I was listening to your discussion about airports, and I was wondering why we have not explored more the use of seaplanes in the as flight links between the islands. So in the Pacific and in Canada, they use like the twin otter planes outfitted with floats, to as connections between over short distances. So we keep investing in airports, but then what about the possibility of exploring seaplanes for to link the islands?
Well, it's a very interesting point that you're making. In the case of, Redwi was originally a seaplane base.
Right.
That's how it was actually utilized, and that's why we have the ramp, which is the area where they would actually pull up the seaplanes out of the water. Seaplanes, I think in the case of, not Mauritius, sorry, the Maldives, because they've got lots of these atolls, these islands. The way they set up is actually, yes, I think there's they have their main airport close to the main island of Mali, and I think they do use seaplanes to make some of those connections. But I suppose in the case of St. Lucia, are you referring to connections outside of St. Lucia, maybe?
Outside of St. Lucia, yes,
yeah. I mean, the challenge, I think, would probably be the sea conditions. That would probably be one of the challenges there, in terms of the wave heights. That sometimes can be a challenge. So you do see seaplanes being utilized sometimes in lakes and calmer waters. Or if you have like lagoons, like very sheltered lagoons, like as you may have in some of these coral atolls. But it's a little bit more challenging, I suspect, in our waters. So I guess the reliability issue might be one of the challenges, and as well, I guess the technology just has not. Well, it's not to say that you don't have it.
In some cases, some of the otter type aircraft have been
the twin otters sometimes,
yes,
right?
Yes, they have been outfitted with the amphibious type of thing, so they can land on the sea or on land.
That is correct. That is correct. So you do have that option.
And at one time, Liad used to use twin otters.
Liad did use twin otters. They've been phased out for the most part. I think maybe in the northern islands, You may still have some of those smaller airlines still running
Yeah.
some of the twin otters into
Yeah. And
the
I
very
think
short.
there's a new company actually took over the Twin Otter business. So so it's the same design, but it's now a different company manufactures it. Them, you know.
Well, I mean, you I guess in the aviation business, you see trends, and sometimes the trends work out, and sometimes the trends don't work out.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I think with Embraer, they're the ones who are producing these C100, C200 class of
Right.
planes, which are doing the shorter runways,
Mhm.
which is a win for a place like Dominica in the interim
Right.
because they can actually do those types of connections. But then you've also seen, for example, at one point I recall when we were talking about the Hiwinora International Airport, the design plane that we were aiming for was going to be the A380. All right. And we've seen how that A380 was the greatest talk of the town. It was supposed to be revolutionizing, um, you know, um, air trips,
That's the Airbus, right?
the
The
Airbus
Airbus
A380, right? The
Right.
double decker
Yeah. Mhm.
4 engine plane, largest, I mean, carrying well over 400 in some instances, I think up to 600 in some configurations. And that hasn't really panned out because what a lot of the airlines are finding, it makes sense on some of the routes, like the very long haul routes where you have a very big volume of movement, like let's say Heathrow to Dubai or something like that, or Heathrow Singapore.
Yeah.
But what you're finding, especially in the US market and in the European market, you're really looking for smaller planes that can do more point to point movements as well. So the idea of these major hubs and everybody connecting through these major hubs has kind of shifted a little bit. And so you're seeing Dreamliner class type in the 787s becoming the more go-to for a lot of the airlines as opposed to the A380. So to the extent that the A380 is no longer in production, and we'll have to wait and see if there's gonna be anything close to that. It's like the Concorde too. You remember?
Yep. Yeah.
That's another good example. The the idea of supersonic flights and the economics of it, unfortunately, never really made enough sense. And so BA got into it, Air France got into it, and doing those North Atlantic crosses, Paris, New York, or London, New York, in 4 hours, but with only 100 passengers.
Yep.
The price point didn't really make much sense. Running effectively a first class 100-seat aircraft, right? So in the case of seaplanes, you never know. I'm not saying that it's going to be a something that's there's some areas where the application is possible, but there are of course challenges.
Yep.
I think in applying it in our instance as well, but not impossible. Not impossible. Might be an interesting thing maybe for visitors, for tourists.
Yes,
as a sort of like
exactly.
an attraction, kind of.
Yeah.
But I don't know in terms of the actual movement of people. Still a little bit of a challenge. Thanks for that, caller.
Okay, Mark.
All right then, take care. And of course, it is something that we've been looking at in terms of the use of ferry services and between our major centers. And again, it has to be looked at in terms of what is the distance that we're talking about, and is there a comparative land-based route that is not so much different than the other one. And so, of course, once you have that comparative land connection, then it's always likely to be a lot more cost effective as compared to marine based types of movement. Once you're speaking about marine travel, you are speaking about, of course, different types of conditions, lots of salinity, the wear and tear, the maintenance is a bigger challenge. And so it is certainly an area that we can look at for some instances, but perhaps not in all, because of the challenges that exist in terms of maintenance of these craft. So it still is a hope, one could say, perhaps, in regard of the connection of islands. For example, we have seen in the case of St. Lucia, Martinique, there used to be a fair number of players flying that route. And of course, since the advent of the ferry service, the L'Express des Îles ferry service and other ferry services, you're seeing, of course, that it is seemingly not competitive anymore to actually run that George Charles to Aimé Césaire international route, and so therefore it we as of now we're not really seeing direct flights to Martinique, as far as I'm aware. You would have to perhaps fly to Barbados to make a connection to go to Martinique, even though it's only 12 minutes away. And so in some instances, you're seeing how ferries are in fact out, have priced out the route in question. But in other instances, it's going to be a little different, right? And if you look at, let's say, for example, a Barbados St. Lucia connection by ferry, there may be a lot of different other considerations. The how the size of the vessel and how smooth the ride is going to be, and of course the timing of it has to be looked at. So route planning is something that has to consider a lot of different factors in this regard. We'll have to continue the conversation about the Huinor International Airport. Hopefully we can do that tomorrow on another program of the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. In the meantime, we do hope that you have a very blessed day and enjoy it. Take care.